Hello and beyond the new. I am Joker, the Full Metal Joker. Now, before we get started with the topic at hand, I'd like to let you know two things. One, there are no trigger warnings here. If you do not like what has to be said, please remove yourself from this video. Two, everything I have to say is mostly opinion based with a lining of truth. But with that being said, if you feel like I've screwed up somewhere or I've said something not exactly correct, please get in touch with me. You should already know how to do so. With that being said, I know this has been covered by many other YouTubers, and it's pretty much at this point kicking a dead horse, but it's still out there, and while it's out there, someone needs to talk about it, so I think I should throw my hat into the ring, and that has to do with the pink tax. Now, for those who don't know what the pink tax is, it is a belief that there are certain taxes in place on feminine products solely for the case of its products for females, and it's for to make it harder on females. And I'm here to say that that is quite frankly BS, because when it comes to things like getting your hair done and buying certain products, think about it like this. When it comes to going out and getting your hair done, what do most guys usually do? They either A, do it themselves, or B, just go to a barber, get a little touch up, and usually wash their hair at home. Now, just doing that, it takes very little time, very little effort on the person doing their hair, and they can get them in and out, and it doesn't take very much time. Thus, the cost of time and service isn't very high. Now, when it comes to most females, what do they usually do? They usually go in, get their hair washed, get their hair conditioned, do all this, that, and the other thing to get their hair done, and then get it trimmed up and highlighted or whatever else. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and the person has to be well trained, and that adds on to the cost. And then, since it takes a lot of time, that person doesn't see a lot of people, thus the cost goes up. Now, let's go to other things that they believe it's taxed solely for women. Razors and hair conditioning and hair washes and stuff. Most guys, when they go to get stuff for their hair, face, and whatnot, they usually get the all-in-one bottle, which has some of everything needed to keep you clean. Because most guys just, hey, if it keeps me clean, sure. But most females, and I say most because, hey, there's exceptions to the rule, they get hair conditioner, hair whatever, they get all this other stuff. And a lot of these things for females is set to a more lighter skin type, more sensitive skin. And that takes a lot more stuff. And the more stuff they put into it, the more it's going to cost, because it has to be sure that it handles the softer, more sensitive skin. Now, razors. Most guys, when it comes to razors, we typically don't care. If it cuts, it's good. Whereas a lot of females get the types of razors where it has the stuff on it and make their skin all smooth and everything else. And again, that's going to add on to the cost. Now, I know you're going to say, well, what about What about the tax in Australia? Yeah, well, I looked into it. Is it screwed up? Yeah, I agree. Well, personally, because I believe any goods or service that is purposely overtaxed is BS in its own right. But is it solely for the case of degrading women? No. And if you go, well, what about how come condoms aren't taxed? Well, that can go under the medicinal part because condoms can be considered a form of birth control. And excuse me, a lot of in this day and age and how the economy is, a lot of guys typically don't want to have a child or children or whatnot. So they're going to. It's kind of a necessary thing, especially if you can't afford a vasectomy. But yeah, I digress. Generally speaking, this whole pink tax is BS, and I'm sorry, the facts are there, and it's just a case of hey, certain things are just overtaxed because hey, government wants to dip their hand, stick their hands in places where it doesn't belong. And with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon set up. I also have a pay a PayPal me set up, and I personally want to thank Shino for bringing this topic to me, and also Bev for giving me some well-valued information. Thank you, and good luck.